those objectives on your recipe? The objectives on your recipe. Riley.
Prepare a quality muffin product, understand the muffin method of mixing, and be able to demonstrate understanding of terms used in preparing muffin products.
So perfect. The ingredients, I'm not going to read through there, but the variations, if you have pumpkin, you want to add that you're going to be adding 1 cup of chocolate chips along with the pumpkin puree. Okay? So that was a couple groups that had that. The equipment, you need to cross out pastry blender. You do not need a pastry blender this time around. Okay. So step 1, preheat oven to 400 degrees. That was already done for you. So we have muffins coming out of the oven in about 2 minutes from the last period. The oven's already preheated to 400. Number 2, I lined my muffin pan with baking cups. Why do I do that? Why do I do that? And I will give you 12 of these tomorrow. Yeah?
So that it doesn't stick to the pan and you already have it in the thing. So.
Yeah, it doesn't stick to the pan, and then if you want to bring some home tomorrow, you can just take it in the muffin cups, okay? Number 3, place sifter in the large mixing bowl. Last period, they should not wash your sifters. Why did I tell them not to wash your sifter? Jeremy.
Because they rust.
Okay, they rust. Kai?
Well, the flour or whatever from the next class will get all stuffed together.
Yes. Okay. So your period, you need to wash them. Okay, but you need to make sure they dry really well, or they're gonna rust, like Jeremy said. Number 4, measure flour, sugar, baking powder, salt, and cinnamon. Okay, so I have flour. The sifters you will have tomorrow are new, but they're kind of small. So when you pour an ingredient in there, you can just kind of start sifting it because they don't hold very much. So can someone tell me how much flour do I need? Parker.
2 cups of flour.
Okay, 2 cups of flour. And how do I measure flour? How do I properly measure flour? Nick?
Scoop it up and then take a knife or something and then scrape it up.
Yeah, I'm going to take the flour, scoop it into the measuring cup, and then level it off. What I have, Zakina, do you mind taking the muffins out of the oven? There's a pot holder in there. Okay. So I'm going to level it off with a spatula and then pour it into the sifter. And then do that one more time.
We don't pack it down though, right?
Never pack flour. So you see how I'm kind of lightly spooning it in? And if you need more flour tomorrow, I have plenty more in the cabinet over there. Got it? Put it right here. Awesome. Got it? Perfect. Okay. I also need baking powder. Make sure you pick the right one because there's also baking soda in there and there's a difference. Okay, they both help something to rise, but baking powder, you might want to write this down, is activated in liquid, where baking soda, like you use for your oatmeal cookies, is activated in heat. Parker, or Riley, sorry, one of the two.
You didn't put the second cup in, you stuffed it back.
Did I really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
You-
got back into the
Because
flour.
I was thinking about that. Thank you
Yeah.
for timing.
I didn't know if you
That
were
was,
putting half
wow,
of
that,
this.
something's wrong here.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like,
This was not.
Did you guys all see that? You're
Yeah.
like, Miss G, what is going on?
like recording.
I know.
So far.
Okay. So I'm going to then level this off and pour it into the sifter, not back into the canister.
3 times.
And what?
What if you did it again?
Oh, that would be bad.
That would be funny.
That would be, we'd have to put this on YouTube or something, okay? So I need 3 teaspoons of baking powder. Now, when you measure the baking powder, what's nice is they have this metal piece that you can just level it off really easily. So does everyone kind of see how I'm just leveling it off the side there?
Yeah.
If you want to do it with this spatula, you can. It's completely up to you. And that goes in the sifter as well. I also need salt and cinnamon. Whenever I measure the salt, why do I tell you to measure it over something else besides the bowl? Why is that important, Mark?
Because salt comes out really fast.
Exactly, salt comes out really fast. And what is the purpose of salt in this recipe? What is the purpose? Why are we putting it into something sweet? Corey? Yeah, to enhance the flavor. Okay, what was flour for? What's the purpose of flour, Carson?
It's like the base.
Yeah, the base. Good. The structure. And then we know baking powder helps something to rise. I also need cinnamon. And make sure you look at your variations because you might need to add a little bit more cinnamon. So 1 teaspoon. And I will look at my apple cinnamon because that is what I'm making. And I need a half a teaspoon more. So I'm going to put that in right now. That way I don't forget.
If we're doing lemon, do you still put cinnamon?
I
don't think.
would say cross that out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that.
Well, you did good on the muffins. They smell good.
Do they smell good? Okay. So with this sifter tomorrow, you're going to have different ones that you're just kind of cranking and pressing the button and then all of the flour will come off. This one's a little different. You're just turning this. And what's the purpose of a sifter? What's the purpose? Clara?
So that you don't get any chunks of like dried up flour.
Yeah, you don't get any chunks, and you can see how there's more air incorporated into this, okay? And that kind of makes your muffins nice and moist. Turn to the back. Number 6, because I already sifted those ingredients. Number 6, make a well in the center of the dry ingredients. This is what we call the muffin method of mixing. Whenever you make muffins, every recipe or most of them, they tell you to make this well in the middle. So you kind of make this hole and you move the flour kind of to the side. And the reason why we do this is you're going to eventually pour the liquids in the middle, and this kind of helps you so that you don't over mix the batter. Jeremy?
What happens if you don't do that?
You might accidentally over mix the batter and you might not incorporate the liquids and the dry separately, and then your muffins might be a little bit more tough and kind of not very moist. Okay. Then, number 7, in a medium mixing bowl, I'm going to combine the liquids. Okay, so I have this already measured out for me, and just to kind of save some time.
Nope.
The egg, exactly, Mark. The egg I'm going to crack into the custard cup because in case I have a shell, I want to avoid that. Make sure I wash my hands. Henry?
How come you cracked it on the table?
Okay, that's a good question. Crack it on the table because if you crack it on the side of the bowl, what could happen?
The shell can fall.
The shell could fall off. If the shell gets on the table, that's not really a
Well,
problem.
what happens if you like hit it too hard and the egg just like splatters all over the table?
Well, that's what practice is for.
Just get years of experience.
Then I give you another one.
It's not, yeah, I don't think it would happen.
Then the oil. When you measure liquids, what's important to remember when you measure liquids? We obviously want to do it in a different measuring cup. What's another thing? Sarah?
You have to keep it on the table.
Yeah, keep it level, so I'm not holding it like this and trying to pour it and then it's not precise. Okay, so I need 1/4 of a cup of oil. And what is the purpose of oil or fat in a recipe? Oh, that scared me. What is the purpose of oil? The opposite, kind of. Nick, you know?
Keep it moist.
Yeah, to keep it moist, exactly. Okay? And flavor too. So I'm going to be whisking these ingredients together. If I didn't have a whisk at home, what else could I use? Yeah. What else could I use? Mary, yeah, fork. So that is all whisked together. And then I'm going to be pouring that into the middle. If a little bit comes on the side, that's okay. But this same method we're going to be using when we make our pasta. We make a well, and I'll show you how to do that. Parker.
So should we beat the egg before we put it in the milk?
It doesn't matter, actually.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm gonna just kind of put this to the side because I want to show you what I did with my apple. Okay. I peeled the apple. Okay, you can see that it's peeled. Why do you think I peel it? Obviously we know that's healthy, but when you're making muffins, why would I peel it? Riley?
So the taste isn't all weird. So you don't get that weird like skin taste.
Right, that crunchy taste, right? Okay, Jeremy, you have another reason?
And so you don't see a piece of skin that's
Yes.
fluffing around.
Exactly. Okay, not appealing. So these knives, tomorrow that I'm going to give you, this is the cover for them. So at the end of the period, you need to make sure you wash it if you're using this, and it's dry. These are very sharp, okay, so be very careful. What I did was I stood the apple up, and I kind of just sliced all the way around the core. I can give you an apple core if you want, it's up to you. Then what I did is I always make sure that the flat side is on the cutting board so it's not rocking around. And then I just carefully make slices, make sure my fingers are nowhere near. I turn this a little bit, and then I can just kind of make dices. Okay, so I already did that for that bunch here. And do the same thing. If you want to, you can kind of remove your hands and just make slices like that. Okay? And then I turn it, and then I just make dices. You notice how I'm kind of rocking the knife up and down like this. Okay, the blade is not really coming up that much, it's just rocking up and down. Okay? Do that exactly to this one. And, you know, try to get them small because you want them to cook. Once that is complete, I can take these apples. First, I'm going to throw this out. And I'm just going to pour this gently in the middle. Okay? Just like this. And I already added that half teaspoon of cinnamon, so I don't have to do that. Now, number 10, gently mix the wet and dry mixture together with a spoon just until dry ingredients are moistened. This is important. The batter should be lumpy. The reason it should be like that is if you get it so that it's completely incorporated and it's very liquidy, then it's not going to taste very good. And what's going to happen when you cut your muffins in half when they're coming out of the oven, okay, they're going to notice little tunnels or holes inside them. That means you mixed it too much. So only mix it for about 10-15 seconds.
Should
And I'm
see flour?
no, you shouldn't see the flour. That's a good question. Okay. But some of you, I think, you know, you kind of like mixing, and then before you know it, 2 minutes have gone by, and you've been mixing too much. Okay. So just make sure, like Parker said, all the flour is incorporated. So watch that bottom. And then that's pretty much good. Okay? Henry.
If all the flour's not in there, will it taste bad?
No, because it's gonna kind of just move like spread out when it's in the oven. Okay? Jeremy.
Shouldn't the hint of the baking powder have gone up already?
Oh, to make it rise a little bit? Well, it does work really fast. That's why I need to move and get these in the oven. Okay? So what I'm going to do is using 2 mixing spoons, spoon the batter into the prepared muffin cups, only 2/3 full. So you don't want to scoop it in so that it's overflowing. Okay? So just like you made your oatmeal cookies last year, you took 2 spoons. Okay? One side of the spoon, I'm just going to kind of drop that in. Now, what happens if I get some on the side?
Wipe it off.
Yeah, you need to wipe it off because, like Claire said, it'll burn.
I said it. Henry said
I
it.
did not
Oh.
say it burned.
Oh, I
And then
missed that.
Claire said wipe it off.
Oh, okay. Now, I'm not going to do this for 10 minutes because that's boring to watch me. So I'm going to do this after I explain the activity, put them in the oven, okay? So I need everyone to make sure that you have a pen or pencil, which hopefully you do.
Yes.
One more thing I need to tell you because you're gonna need this for the activity. Why is it important to know different equivalences and measurements? For instance, 3 teaspoons, 3 of these equals 1 tablespoon. Why is that important to know? So 3 teaspoons equals 1 tablespoon. Why is that important to know? Ellie?
Because if you didn't have a tablespoon, you could just do like 3 cups.
Okay, good, exactly. What else? Nick?
So if it says like 3 teaspoons, you can just do 1 tablespoon.
Perfect, instead of measuring out and out and out. 16 tablespoons equals 1 cup. Okay, why is that important to know? Jeremy?
For a dry thing, maybe you shouldn't, well, to be more precise.
Okay, okay. How many tablespoons are in a stick of butter? Max? 8, okay. So knowing some of those equivalences is important if you want to double or divide the recipe. Okay? So let me explain your activity, then you'll have about 15 minutes to work on this, and then we will discuss near the end of the period. Okay, what you are to do is I'm going to be passing out a piece of lined paper. Okay. On the front side, you need to answer these following questions. What does the muffin method of mixing mean? Why is breakfast so important? How many calories should you be eating a day? What is the difference between baking powder and baking soda? How many teaspoons equal 1 tablespoon? 16 teaspoons equals how many cups? And what is the purpose of a sifter? After that, I'm going to be passing out the Smart Start article, and you need to answer the 2 discussion questions that are in the article on the back side of this lined paper. Yeah? Oh, turn it off, yeah. We can edit it, it's not a problem.